It's Friday, May 30th, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid, and this is the weekly Recoup check-in, where we recap what's been shipped on the product side, and we talk about the quarterly goals and reorient what we're going to be shipping next week. Starting at how we always do. Sid, in one word, how you feeling today? And in one sentence, what do you need today?
In one word, I'm feeling excited. In one sentence, I need to calm down. How about you?
Feeling frustrated, need to relax.
All right, nice. I'm so glad that we do that so that I can come into this call and mitigate my emotions to parallel with yours.
It's an okay starting place.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love it.
Main three things to discuss are what was shipped, what are our goals, and what are the quantifiables we can measure to see how we are performing against those goals, and what are we working on next week. Any point you want to start on that's going to have the most value?
Yeah, let's start with what was shipped.
Measure next week. You want to start or you want me to? Go ahead.
I will start with the agent tab. That was what was shipped this week.
Share your screen, talk us through it. What inspired you to ship the agent tab? What was the reason you justified that this was something worth building?
Let me share my screen. Let me pull up the agent tab. All right, so agent tab is shipped. The reason why I shipped it was because I realized a lot of our customers don't know how to get started with a blank slate. They either are not familiar with interfacing with AI chatbots or just like, it's just too open-ended. And then also helping them kind of just hold their hand on what the platform can currently do and having like a place where we can just easily add new agents, which is just going to just add more value. So that was the why, to increase retention by giving them a place to begin. And I'm really excited about it. I think it's fucking fire.
So the problem was people don't know how to use AI chat, and people are often left with an empty input and they don't know how to start a chat.
Correct.
And so what you have built, talk us through what you built.
So I've built a way to easily initiate chats to get them started through one click without having to think about what to write, without having to think about the workflow. They could easily just find something that they're interested in and click it and get started with that. And so this just gives them a better place to begin chatting, to see really what the tool can do in its full span. A lot of we verified this week, but like a lot of the calls that we get on with customers, I find us like we're asking them about workflows and they're like, man, I really wish it could do X. And like our usual response is, well, why don't you try it? Why don't you write it in? And then they'll write it in and then they'll get a result from it. They'll be like, oh, I didn't realize it could do that. And so like, how do we make it easier for them to realize it can probably do the things that you want it to do You just have to ask it. Ooh, look at this, new comments.
Click on them.
Pretty. Copy. Fuck yeah.
Good shit, beer ball.
Yeah, I really like this. So that's
Which
my
single
feature.
agent have you found yourself using most? Has there been one single one that you've found using across calls or in your own practice?
No. No, I kind of click. I kind of click random ones on calls. I made the outreach one specifically for the hunter because these are the only two that like include.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, it includes fan email. So I need to go back and start running evals and adding new workflows and stuff, and really thinking about how we want to structure this page because it's cool right now, but I think it can be much easier to read, less intimidating, and like just be more exciting about like the filtering and what the sections are, etc. So yeah, just thinking through like how we can make this as easy as possible for people to find, just to start clicking around and doing it, like the least intimidating way to do that and the best filtering way to do that.
So you said your next step is make the agents tab easy to find?
Make the agents tab designed with a little bit more for the agents tab. The next step, I don't know if this is like next week or if it's a like agent tab works. So we've hit the make it work portion. Make it right is next. And I think that is adding all of this to Superbase, making it so that people can add their own agents and save them to the community. And then also, I think adding to that is like agent tracking so that we can also filter by most clicked, which ones are getting the most used. And then I think that would be make it right, and then make it awesome is all the extra stuff, which is bells and whistles, and make this page look incredible and easy to navigate, etc. So I think we're kind of in the middle, make it right set phase right now. I will stop sharing. That was my main shipment for product this week.
On your side, you talked about agents. That was your big shipment. What else went on this week on your side?
A lot of it was working on the admin portal to kind of redefine or get better filtering for the metrics. But I don't need to show that yet. I can show that after you show your stuff because that goes right into the like, what are our metrics portion of this call. Plus, you shipped a lot, so.
We got our first comment. Hello guys, are you build the agent using Coinbase Agent Kit? No. We are using Vercel AI SDK as our main framework. We were using Agent Kit for a small feature, but as of right now, we have excluded Agent Kit from the build. If you have more questions, Theo, thank you for tuning in on YouTube. Often our YouTube viewers stay engaged for the whole video. So if you have more questions, just let us know and we'll be highlighting anything that you want to throw in there.
All right, walk us through, Sweets. What'd you build? What'd you ship? And what did your ball ship?
Emails was my big focus for this week. So emails exist in the chat itself. Whenever you scrape Instagram, anytime you generate a text file, and if you send an email to hi@recoupable.com. So it's quite a bit. I'm going to start by the ones that take a little bit longer, and then we'll go into the faster ones. Okay, so if you just, from any email account can do this. If you have email, you just send an email to hi@recoupable.com with whatever you want your subject to be. Live stream help. Can you help me craft a viral post for my live stream? And if you send the email will get delivered to the AI agent. The AI agent will think through its response, and then it will reply to you. And so most music industry professionals, from 1RPM to Warner to Atlantic, they show up at the office, and the first thing they do is they open up their email to see if their boss sent them an email, if any news came in, and then they keep email open all day. They don't keep Recoup chat open all day. And so this allows music industry professionals to get tapped in to the Recoup intelligence without having to leave where they are already spending the bulk of their time. And so this is building into the thought that the agent is the interface is the best way to build interfaces moving forward. The previous generation of app builders built web apps and mobile apps. That's great to offer a central home base. However, 90% of people don't want a new web app or a new mobile app. They already spend 90% of their time on existing apps. And so if you can build an app like what we've done here with Recoup and make it so that it goes wherever you are, the goal is to make the agent pervasive and our app pervasive where people are already spending their time. And this is the first real implementation of that. One of the following steps is going to be make it pervasive on Twitter so that if people tag Recoup, it'll reply. Right now, it's a hard-coded Eliza agent. Instagram, all the social profiles, the same thing. And if we can build it for ourselves, we can then offer that same tooling out to others. So Keys, a question he just asked is, what email account does this come from? And so you start to see the people's gears turning of, oh, cool, it's sending out emails from your email, but what if I want these emails to come out from my email? He didn't explicitly say that. Nobody's explicitly said that yet, but that's where I'm starting to see people's imagination go, is they see Recoup's ability to do these things. They also want to do these things. And so I imagine people will start coming to us and say that they want these. And so you'll see that it pulls my info, it pulls my name. And so I didn't have to tell it that. It just knows who I am, everything about me. This is the first one. The next one is, the rest of them are all on the chat interface. So this first one is you send an email to hi@recoupable.com. It follows the principle of the agent is the interface, allowing Recoup to interact where people are already spending their time rather than forcing people to come over to Recoup.
Can I ask a question real quick based on this? So every time I'm demoing this, we're sending emails, like on the Hunter demo, on the Keys demo we just did, we're sending out emails. If any of those people respond back and reply to Hi Recoupable, what's the message that they will get? Is it the hard-coded one, or is it an LLM response?
Everything's an LLM response. There's not a single email that goes out that's hard-coded.
So I think that's something we should test. Because I was just thinking, like, if somebody does reply back to hi@recoupable.com with like a, hey, yeah, I'm interested, how will Recoup respond? Will it continue to like have the context of this situation, and will it close the deal, like, or will it respond with like, I don't know.
I would love for more people to test this so that they can test the limits. You've just hypothesized something. Ideas are cool. I would love to see people actually try this, and through lived experience, if people have feedback like that, let's do iterations. For now, I built the thing, nobody's used the thing, and so I don't think we should justify more engineering time until people actually send emails to hi@recoupable.com. So I just heard a ding on your side. Did you get the email from me doing the scrape?
No, I'm not getting emails from hi@recoupable, but I think that's an issue on my end when we did the MX records.
Okay, so what should have just happened is anytime we scrape Instagram, on the front end, it's checking the status. But even if you leave the page, When it finishes, it sends us a webhook. That webhook will then look up every account that is connected to that artist, and it will notify all of them that we have just scraped new posts from this artist's Instagram. That way, one, if I leave here, I can come back in and get reactivated. And two, if I have been tapped out and I haven't been using Recoup in a while, it reactivates other people to re-engage them back into using the product. So I'm waiting for that email to come in on my side. So in the meantime, I'll tell it, generate a text file based on my latest posts. Anytime you generate a text file, it will also send the email. This was requested from Carolyn from Big Ass Kids, who had said at the end of the deep research, I want to get an email of that text file output. And so whenever you create a new artist, at the end of that, it'll create a text file. That text file will go to your email. Same thing here. Anytime you generate a text file using Recoup, anytime you use that text file tool, it will generate the text file, and then it will send you an email with both a link to the text file as well as a link to the conversation, so that you have in your email, you always have the source of truth for that text file that was generated, so that less likelihood that it gets lost in the history. And two, a link to get back to the conversation, so that if you forward the email to someone else, or if you ever want to see how you generated that text file or extend the conversation, you should get a link to both of those things to be able to extend the conversation or just see the text file that was generated.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Here's that text file of all the content that I've been posting recently on Instagram specifically, broken down into categories. The day I post 3 times a day, so it's getting my latest posts from both today, yesterday. Today's the 30th. So what did I post today? Today I posted replace time-consuming tasks, empower humans to enjoy life, V0's AI model building websites in seconds. And then yesterday I should have 3 posts. Yeah, there's my 3 posts from yesterday. The day before, there's my 3 posts. And so it got all that info, and then it should have, it looks like I got my text file email before I got the scraper email. And so here is a link to view the original convo. This time I did not get a button to click to download the text file. And so this is one of the trade-offs that we'll start to see. Instead of us hard coding and building our emails, an LLM builds all the emails. And so if the LLM sees the instruction that you should include a link to the text file, it could just say, I don't actually want to include a link to the text file, and then it doesn't. And so in this case, it tries to do things like throw in a logo. I haven't defined a logo. This is a common thing it has tried to do. So there's little tweaks on the edges, but again, I haven't gotten any feedback that anybody's using this. I think it's already, this was requested by someone. So if the person that requested it gives us feedback, let's update it. Otherwise, I've shipped a bunch of features and we could hyperfixate and draw a whole bunch of things on each of them. But in my opinion, the feature's done and is now waiting for feedback from people. So I'm talking all this out to hopefully get you and other people to actually try it, so that when Sid says, I wonder what happens if it does this, Sid actually can live the experience and do the thing. And instead of saying, I wonder what happens, can say, I tried the thing, it did this, I actually want it to do this, so that I get value. That way we are acting out of lived experience and lived pain points instead of imagined things, which typically don't match reality. Here is that, no, that's Reese. So I didn't actually get the Instagram scraping one. So that's something to potentially look at. And then the last thing that we can do is I can say, generate an email based on what you know about me and send it to Sydney at syncstream.ai. That'll work, right?
Yep.
And ccpar for 2008 at gmail.com. This is one of my Sid's email and also my personal email. Originally, you just specified a 2 and it sent it to that person. But Sid had a live stream yesterday with someone from, what was it, Future Proof or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they, in their video, Sid was prompting them to CC stuff. And the LLM was hallucinating and saying that it was CCing people when in fact it was not. And so based off of that last bit of feedback, I added on CC array. So you can add in as many emails as you want to get CC'd onto an email. That way everybody shares the common context. So far it's only 1-2 address, but you can CC as many as you want. So a question in my mind for based off of people's experience is, do people actually need an array of 2s, or are we happy that it to a 2, it only sends to one person and then we can CC multiple people, but it focuses on one single 2? Or do we want to allow people to also send in an array of 2? And so here you can see it sent it from, it sent it to, and then you get the CC array where it sent it both to the email that I specified. And then the other thing is it always sends it to the signed in account. That way, Sid had asked me, how do we actually check this email after we had tried it? How can we see what the email was that was sent out and we didn't have a mechanism? Now that we are always sending the email to the person that's signed in, you never are going to run into that. I got the email that was generated. It sent the email to Sydney. Sydney, did you get the email?
No, I'm not going to get emails from Hyatt Recoupable.
Not even to Sydney at syncstream.ai?
Oh, SyncStream. Let me see. Inbox. Junk. I have not received anything yet.
In Sydney at syncstream.ai?
Yeah, nothing in syncstream.ai. Let me look at my phone to see if just double check. Actually, let me sign in from the Google client so that
it's okay. So barring Sid's email setup and why emails aren't being received by him, anybody else outside of Sid?
I got it. I got it from Recoup on my SyncStream.
Okay.
Fuck
So
yeah.
Sid got the email. I got the email. We can verify it here in Google that people are receiving it. And so those are the 4 different ways. You can send an email directly to HyattRecoupable.com or reply to an email. In this case, what's the CTA? And you can like reply to an email that you received, and then it will reply to you based off of the context of this conversation, as well as what it knows about you. You can scrape IG posts, and if you tell it to scrape, it should be sending out an email. There might be a bug with that I potentially will need to dig into if we determine that that is worth my time. There is, anytime you generate a text file, it'll send you the email, and then you can directly tell it to send an email to someone, and then it will. Here's an example of that response from me following up on an email. Those are the main things. And then outside of that, Cielo and Keleven, who are part of the Música W3 community down here in Buenos Aires, Argentina. A lot of people have been trying the app on Farcaster because it's so easy to open, and people have been really active on Farcaster recently. The number has been up and to the right of people using Farcaster. And so I made some changes because they have not really been able to use the app. We have so far depended on people signing in with email. And on Farcaster, one of the benefits is we already know who you are. We don't need you to go and sign in with an email address. And so now we have that info. And so now the updates I've made is artist work. Before, it didn't recognize your artist because we were querying Supabase based off of email. You can now see your artists. You can also see your recent chats.
Fuck yeah.
Those were the main changes. And so the mini app should now be working on par with the web app. The biggest thing that is missing from Farcaster is email sending to CC it to the signed in account. Because again, here we have a Farcaster wallet address, but we have not thought through or prioritized how do we collect an email address for people who are using Farcaster. So far, I don't think Sid goes on Farcaster, so he likely will not experience it. So likely the point where this will get prompted is if a musician is trying to use the email tool and they're not getting it, then someone might request it from me. But for now, I don't think it's going to be an issue because, again, Sid doesn't use Farcaster. And I think most of the musicians that use this are going to be great with it as it is. So for now, the mini app is also on par with the web app experience, and the Farcaster side should be done. And where I've been slowly moving my attention to is getting back onto Wave 0 and updating Wave 0 so that the main focus I have for today is a one-click deploy button, so that if I go to wave0.vercel.app, I can generate a project, like build me my own version of Linktree, and then I can just click a one-click deploy with Vercel button after I say build me a version of Linktree for my next album release. You just send out the text, it builds the app, and then just a one-click button in the top to be able to say deploy this app. That way it deploys it to your own domain. You can connect it to your own domain. You have full ownership of it. You can manage the code. You can do whatever you want with it. And so you just go one prompt, one click to deploy. And this is the goal of this, is to allow musicians to iterate very quickly on any idea that they have, whether it's I'm planning a tour, the product I'm using now wants me to pay for it and I don't want to pay for it. My dev doesn't have enough time, but I need to give him an idea. And so all of this is just going to enable musicians or any non-technical artists who want to build apps, but so far have either needed to talk to a dev or have needed to learn how to code, empowering them to just go one prompt, build an app, one click, deploy the app. 2 things you have to do total. It takes 5 minutes, and allowing musicians to iterate on their ideas without having to be blocked by either a platform or a dev to be able to do both of those things. So that's the bulk of what I have shipped this week.
Where are we at with this?
With what?
With Wave 0? Or is it like just like your next, like now you're focused on it?
The goal is to focus on it today. However, today I've been blocked by a meeting just got thrown into my calendar, so I jumped into that. Veerball did not ship the YouTube feature, so I had to go into communication and HR and managing a dev. So tasks that are non-dev related are taking me away from doing dev things. And so these are just trade-offs. The reason I'm stating this is it's important for you and others to be aware. Any task that is being added to my calendar or any additional responsibilities that are being added to my plate, make it so that when I get into calls like these, things are not being shipped, because I have to focus my time on managing other humans, communicating tasks to other humans, sitting on calls and being present inside of those calls. Anything that is being added to my plate is making it so that I have less time to ship code. I prefer to ship code. So while Veerball being on the team was, you can decide if that's been a good thing or not. Any time I need to spend with Veerball, communicating tasks, reviewing his PRs, etc., is less time that I could be spending doing those things. YouTube did not go out this week because we decided to allocate that to a dev. He promised me it would be shipped today. It has not been shipped today. So we didn't get YouTube out. We also didn't get Wave 0 out. And so those are just objective truths, no judging whether they're good or bad, based off of 24 hours being in any human being's day.
Got it. Fire. All right. Next.
You want to take us through what are our Q2 goals and how are we performing against them?
I do. Let me share screen.
Starting, what is our Q2 goal?
So Q2 goal is to increase retention from our current users. And let's see how we're doing. Oh, actually, let me do local because I have the extra. It would be local 301. All right. Start here. So we are at 5 conversations today, 40 this week. Conversations are rooms created, and 110 this month. This is not including testing and developer accounts. So, and I also don't know if this is including Farcaster or not. I haven't had a chance to dive into that. But we're up 43% since last week.
Big up.
Up 350% since last month. So we are on a good path.
Exponential growth.
Oh, yeah. And here is where it gets fun. Let's do it by this week. We can see messages.
Questions from Theo as well. So after this, we'll jump into his questions.
So this week, messages sent. The top of the leaderboard is We Are Hume, and we had
Paloma got dethroned.
Paloma got dethroned this week.
Okay, on the week.
This is the week. She's still top.
For the month, is she still top?
Let's see. She
Okay,
is
month she's way up, but for the week she's down. Still in top 3 though.
still top 3. But what this is telling to me is the call we had with them greatly increased their usage. So that's good to know. Now, if we go like this, it changes a lot, which is awesome.
Yeah, I saw that Livia person did a couple. Oh, Steph showed up today. Nice.
Steph showed up today. Livia is my brother's fiance, so
Okay.
soon to be my sister-in-law. She's a publisher that I had her set up an account, so she's been playing around with it. I haven't onboarded her officially yet, so this is just her just like getting curious and seeing what's going on. And King Ty, I don't know who that is, so that's a new
I
person.
also don't know.
But let's do it by week real quick. I just love that it's digital. We are Hume, and that is clearly from us talking to them.
Right. Agreed.
The next one is Secondhand Talent. This is a podcaster who when I announced the agents tab, started using it, and then I had an email exchange with him asking about RSS feeds, and then I sent him a very specific prompt about RSS feeds. And so he's been going back and forth experimenting with the agents tab, which is great. And then Paloma, top. So there's our user leaderboard. I like to do it by month though, or actually we'll do it by all time because we can kind of see. Caroline is still up at the top of all time, and she's there this month. So what's awesome about this is it tells me that before we shipped Add Artist, Carolyn was not top 3. Then we delivered the feature that she requested, and it direct, like the feature you shipped, not this last week, but 2 weeks ago,
Right.
is directly correlating to her usage of the product. So I think that's an awesome sign that if we ship a feature and if it's a feature that's requested by a customer and we ship it, and then we show them that it's shipped and show them how to use it, it dramatically increases their usage. Fuck yeah.
Agreed. I guess I was confused. I thought Secondhand Talent was Keys.
No, Keys is if we sort by segment reports, Keys is Judson at Icon Breaking.
You had told me he's a paying customer, but I've got Stripe pulled up right now, and I do not see any Icon Breaking emails in our subscribers.
Look up.
I see a Todd Tate.
customers.
I see a Secondhand Talent. Big Ass Kids. Vilalo
Look
at
up
Macomb.
Icon Breaking. I'm not on active. Look on customers.
Well, you said he was a paying subscriber.
He was a paying subscriber. I think his card he might have switched cards, and so the card that we currently have is deactivated. And
last payment was in March, so he has been not a paying customer for 2 months.
Yeah, and
Just
so
stating this so that we can properly orient how we're prioritizing this relationship moving forward.
Yeah. I can hit him up and see why. I think it's just he switched cards, and we just need to reprompt him to add new cards.
Okay.
Which is
we're both on the same page. He is not a paying customer as of today. So
as of
moving
today,
forward, if we're prioritizing calls, just be aware he is not a paying customer.
Got it. And then Maria is up here for generating segments this month. Just see this week. Yeah, Maria generated 3 segment reports this week.
From 1 RPM. So someone outside of Steph
is getting value from segment reports.
Segment reports. Overall, segment reports are trending down. So far, the observation I have is that only the 1 RPM team is using segment reports.
Yes.
Do you align with both those observations?
Correct. We demoed it live with them, so like they're probably also the most aware of it.
Right.
Okay, cool. So that's awesome information to understand. And then the other thing I built is this week. Boom. And I got to fix this super base migration broke track. But basically, this is documenting the messages sent that week. So the week of May 25th, which is this week, So far, we've had 76 messages sent. This week, 63, 40. And so you can see it's giving you. And I'm currently building a tool right now where I can click this and then add the annotation. So we can kind of, like, for example, right here, this was when we migrated from Stacks to Supabase, and then the chat was broken for this month. And then we fixed it, and then it started going up. So I'm just going to try to go back to our GitHub shipments and track when features and things were shipped and what's going on, so we can kind of start to correlate features with increased usage.
I like that.
And the other thing I want to add to this, which I'm going to start, I'm going to see how far I can get with the current infrastructure, is add feature usage as a line. So right now it's messages sent, but I'd love to see like how many times the email tool is called, and how many times Perplexity is called. How many times, I don't know if Perplexity is the right one, because like I don't want to get incorrect value I don't want to get incorrect data, like, because Perplexity is like called all the time. So like I don't know if that's like the right thing to track, but like specific tools, being able to track those features, I think is going to be important. Is there anything else that you think we should be tracking that I'm missing? Oh, the other thing was, that's also on the list, is Vercel visits versus messages sent. Vercel visits, actually it's Vercel visits versus privy logins or privy accounts versus messages sent, because that will track our conversion rate. But again, I'm less focused on new user onboarding and more focused on retaining customers right now. So that's like a P1, P2. But while I'm here, let me pull this up. So what was shipped is Agents tab, email tool, mini app. Let's fucking go. I want to talk about next steps for each active user, because it seems like this is the best place to be to decide what to focus on next. Paloma Artist, she's just using it. I sent her the Agent tab. She said it's awesome.
So you got a line of comms with her.
I have a line of comms with her, yeah. So I can continue that conversation to set up something to see like how she's using it, what's her next, what does she need? So that's my next step. Set up. Does she speak English?
That's a good question. She definitely can write in English. I've never had a conversation with her, so I don't know if she can only write text in English or if she actually can speak English.
All right, let me set up a call with her and find out. Okay, cool. With Hume, they are testing it this week and will report back. So set up call next week. Set up call next week. Oh, next week I'm out of town, so it's going to have to be, well, I guess I could. I'm just going to go next.
Can you make those more specific? What are you setting up a call to do?
Okay, good call. Set up call next week to get feedback on how they are using Recoup. This is also the same thing. Set up call. So it's basically to understand how they're currently using Recoup, so that we can identify if they're missing features or if they're missing training. Because I think those are the two kind of levers that we need to pull. Carolyn this is an interesting one, and this is the one I want to talk to you about. The feature that you shipped is working. Her usage increased. When we were on a call with her, the other make it awesome step was to integrate the workflow into, or to integrate the agent into her workflow, so she never actually has to come in and create an artist on Recoup. It like it'll a calendar when an artist creates a calendar invite in her calendar, it triggers the agent to do its new artist workflow and then emails her the results of the new artist in preparation of her call. That was a request that she wanted. So that there is an option. So we have two options. One is build that for her. The other option is to jump on a call with her and request and see if that's what she wants us to build next, or if there's anything else, other features that she wants. What do you think we should do?
I'm not a fan of hopping on calls. Personally, I think both of these could be an email or a message, and it would prevent what we just jumped into it, keys where he's not prepared, he's not able to share a screen. We get actionable insights but I also understand you getting on a call helps build the relationship between you and them. And so but just for me orienting, like if it is not clearly actionable, if we don't know if they're going to be flying out of an airport during the call, I just have a higher barrier of when I jump on these calls. That way you get on as many calls as you want, and it's more of me prioritizing my time so that I can maximize hands-on keyboard.
Understood. So I guess then from this, the question I'm asking is from a product perspective, like based on what you like let's focus on what you need in order to feel excited about building next week specifically. Like Carolyn, the feature that you shipped increased her usage. She told us on the call that like the full workflow that she wished she had. And so my question is, do you need more information to validate that you should focus on like the full flow of her request? Or is it enough information for you to be excited to be like, yeah, this will me shipping it, continuing to ship the feature or make it awesome is going to increase her usage even more?
How does Google Calendar integration tie into the Q2 goal of increasing retention of chatters?
It guarantees that every time, at least Carolyn gets a meeting booked, I mean, I would count that as a chat. Like I would count that as product usage. Like it may not be specifically her, but it's her agent running and giving her results. So it decreases the likelihood of her not using the product because for whatever reason she doesn't want to open it up. She doesn't have a computer. She's trapped, whatever. Like, and it will correlate at minimum. Carolyn will use the product and increase her usage, and it'll correlate directly with how many calls she's setting up with artists each week. And that's just Carolyn. Like I haven't even thought through like how that tool integrate with like how we could use it for other people on the platform.
So what would the integration look like? Akron on a daily basis at 8 a.m. Eastern time checks any calendar that people have given access to, checks out what their meetings are for the day, does deep research on whoever the meeting is with. If it's not with anybody, skip it. Only if it's with someone else, run it. Do deep research on whoever's invited on the email, and then send the owner of the calendar an email saying, you've got a meeting today and I prepped notes for your meeting?
From a high level, yes. From a customer specific workflow, it would be meetings that are booked through her Calendly, like by artists. Like the specific workflow she wanted was an artist books a one-on-one with me. I get it agent runs, the create an artist agent runs and emails me the results so I can open them up in my email before the meeting. And I don't have to do any other further research or open up anything.
What webhooks does Calendly have to be able to tie into those events?
I am not sure. You want me to look it up?
I would ask Recoup.
All right, give me a sec. Where's my
Lower. There you go. Webhooks does Calendly have to get notified when a new meeting is scheduled? Period. Use your tools.
to get?
I would have told it to use your tools so it doesn't hallucinate. But we'll see if it doesn't.
Oh, what has happened?
Yeah, I was thinking so. Now you've sent 2 things and exposed the bug.
Whoa. No, let me just resend it.
Theo, I'm just letting you know I'm seeing all your messages. I'm waiting for a break in Sid's train of thought for us to be able to address them.
I mean, here, while we do this, do you want to address Theo? Because we don't know how long it's going to take.
Theo asked, are you open sourced these agents? Yes, 100% of the Recoup code base is open source. You can go to github.com/recoupable to see all the code that is included in the full stack. Front end, back end, prototypes, everything is open source. How can I try? In the features I can try is limited. You can go to recoupable.com to start trying. You should be able to do everything without limits. So far, our goal is to get people using, and eventually we'll focus on monetization, but for now, it's unlimited for anybody. Then he said, just signed at Recoupable. I will testing these features. So it sounds like this video is inspiring them to try the app. Are you deploy your Wave Zero agent to Recoupable? I'm not sure I understand that question. I'm going to interpret that question as, are you going to integrate Wave Zero into the main Recoupable product? Long-term, yes. For now, it's still in the prototype stage. So granted, I get time to be able to build this out and Wave Zero becomes a feature that's prioritized on Recoup's roadmap. Yes, eventually it will get prioritized. Right now, we're talking about a Calendly integration. So we will come into weekly goals after this. So you'll get to hear if Wave Zero is a feature worth prioritizing or if it's not for now. I just use Recoup to do reharmonization of chord progressions of an Indonesian song. It worked well, but the agent won't write the lyrics in chord sheet due to a copyright concern. No question there, so I'm going to keep moving. It says, I can't reproduce or write the full sheet of song title as they're copyrighted material owned by the artist. Also not a question. I'm not going to respond. We are up to date with Theo.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks for using it, man.
Yeah, Theo, if you've got any more questions, make sure to end whatever your sentence is with a question mark. That way I know you are expecting a response. Otherwise, we are consuming the info and we're going to keep moving forward.
All right, cool. Calendly does have webhook capabilities for meeting notifications. Invitee created, invitee canceled, routing from submitted.
Okay.
All right, so we'll put that Calendly webhooks is an option for next week. Wave Zero is an option for this week or next week. And let's keep it moving. Where is my thing? Here we go. So maybe Calendly webhook Okay, cool. Mario Podcast was the top active user. Next steps with this. He was requesting RSS. I tested Recoupable and it gave RSSs. So then I sent him that conversation. He was like, that's fucking awesome. He then was like, well, what about like podcast listens per platform? And so I told him RSS feeds don't give you that information. If you want that data, we're going to need to connect to your podcast services. And then he said that they're not sure how to do that, et cetera, et cetera. So the next step with him is I'm going to build an agent tab for podcast metrics. I'm going to customize an agent for him. So at least it can run it without, and then we can integrate podcast stuff build those providers later. Steph, label services. Next step, YouTube was the current feature request from her. So that's still in progress, and we should just touch base next week.
Correct.
Cool.
Unless the only other thing we would do is say, is Veerball the effective person to do, or is he didn't ship it, so we determine that he is not capable and we move him simply into UI stuff, and I focus on these bigger features is the only other thing. Otherwise, if no change is required in relationship with Veerball, then yes, just talk about it next week whenever he gets it shipped.
How confident are you in Veerball as of right now in being able to ship this by next week?
Maybe. I mean, his screenshots look like he has stuff, but I tend not to trust any information other than code. So
let's give it one more week.
Copy.
Let's give it one more week. Steph she's still on the leaderboard without YouTube. She's still using the product. I haven't told her about emails. That's my focus next week. Is we did agent tab this week and announced that feature. And where it was effective, we had the highest amount. So I want to replicate that system of announcing a feature each week, like we did, to kind of track the usage and based off of features like that. So next week, going into on Monday or on Sunday night, I'm going to do the feature announcement email, start to send that all out so that we can kind of see next week how everybody's using your feature from this week or built this week. So I think with that being said, let's give Veerball another week with YouTube, because that could be our announcement the following week, you know? Mm-hmm. So what this basically tells me is that based on our top 5 users, that we just need to decide Calendly webhooks or Wave 0. And I'm kind of just gonna leave that up to you, man. Like, based on how you're feeling and what you want to do.
Quarter 2 goal is increase retention of chatters. The options that we've discussed are Calendly, which is going to mean it's a subset of people who have Calendly that could be impacted, and Wave 0, which impacts any musician that has an idea that is limited by lack of developers or a platform that has built their idea. So initially, Wave 0 feels like a much more impactful feature that also has the chance for us to be a pioneer in something, while the Calendly integration is much smaller impact, and likely 90% of the people using it won't know about, won't care, or it's going to lead to Sid having to create more calls to show people how to use Calendly and find out if they're using Calendly. So I'm pretty confident that Wave 0 will have more impact on reaching the Q2 goal of increasing retention of chatters. Thoughts on my decision?
Agreed.
Okay, so inside of Wave 0, what are the specific things that are missing to add more specific details that I can reference throughout the week to know if I am getting us on that task or not. Do you have enough experience with Wave Zero so far to be able to set those milestones, or you haven't tried the app?
Have not tried the app.
Okay. I think Vercel deploy, we need to be, I think that's the most important. That's the end state. And so starting with that will better orient me to fill in the steps from here to there. If you can deploy it on your own Vercel account, done. You've got it. That's yours. From deploy, I think artifacts. Artifacts are something that's missing in Wave Zero, and it's also missing in the main chat app. So getting artifacts so that whenever code starts being generated, it opens up the right panel. While it's writing the code, I see that code being written. So artifacts, one, to just see the code output, but then after I get those artifacts in, I think being able to preview the app, be able to play with it right there inside of Wave Zero so that it generates the app. I can click into it. I can see if I'm generating LinkedIn, I can click on it, resize the screen and see how it looks. It's a feature that's already included in V0 that we don't have. So what did I just say? App preview. If we can deploy onto Vercel, see the artifact of the code, see the preview of the app, at that point, we have more or less a clone of V0 with the only difference potentially being a system prompt. And so the main thing, if we get those, that I think would be the level up is tying it into Recoup tools. So all of Recoup's APIs, all of Recoup's tools, everything that makes us different from other LLMs, Recoup tools is going to be making us differentiated. So the overall goal is, one, get us to parity with V0. And two, once we're at parity with V0, being able to deploy, see the preview, have artifacts, differentiating us to be music-specific use case of it pulls in Recoup tools so that if I say do it for my next album, it already knows my next album. It already knows who I am. It knows what genre I do, so that the apps that it's generating already match my brand. And if you and I say to build Linktree, it's going to create different link trees based off of my profile on Recoup and my social posts and my Spotify presence versus your Instagram posts and Spotify presence. And that is going to be what really differentiates us from V0. V0 is general. We are hyper focused on the musician use case, and how that looks in implementation is our tool set that we include is different. And if we get that, once we have the Recoup tools, we have a deploy button, then I think potentially try to bring it back into the Recoup main app. So integrate it into Recoup and get it out of standalone. Integrate to Recoup. At this point, I think the list is pretty long, and I'm starting to wonder if I'll be able to get all this done in a week. Do those 5 points feel valuable, or do you think we should only do a subset of those points and split my attention between Wave Zero and Calendly or some other feature? The 5 points are deploy to Vercel, artifacts, preview the app, Recoup tools, and integrate Wave Zero into Recoup. Do any of those need to get removed or modified so that we focus on impactful tasks? Or what modifications can we make to that list to better align this week's build with our Q2 goals?
I think you should focus 100% on Wave Zero next week.
Why?
Or at least like 80%. And then the rest be verbal help tweak.
Why is Wave Zero important enough for me to focus as the sole goal for me to focus on next week?
Well, one, because like I feel a sense of passion and energy when you talk about it.
I love it.
And then two is it's the most modular thing we can build. When you were saying I love how you're thinking modular, and what I wrote down is like, how can we replace, instead of specifically having a sprint to integrate every fucking provider on the planet, maybe the sprint is, how do we create a provider's agent so that we just have to say, go connect Calendly, and it goes and does it, and then go connect YouTube. It goes, like, abstract away the need for weekly sprints, because we're just going to there will be there's unlimited platforms to connect to. You know, and so maybe like once wave 0 is done, like then we can start to think about how do we abstract away like the need for specific provider integrations and just do it more of like a general. I know like that's what Anthropic was doing. That's why they introduced MCP in the first place, because they were trying to integrate everything into Claude and it just wasn't working. The issue with MCP is that, like, again, not everybody has it yet. So thinking through that, I think we win if we figure that part out.
Double clicking on that, having a wave 0 agent also allows our dev team to scale a little bit more. Of Sid has an idea, you can generate that code right there, and it can have all the knowledge of our current code base. And we can also set it up such that if musicians like Cielo and Kelevin have feedback on the Recoup app, we could be building this such that they just say, hey, I want this feature. And instead of it contacting us on Telegram like it does, it builds the feature, opens up the pull request, and then I see musicians prompt new features. The wave 0 writes the feature and opens it up right into Recoup and allows us to start increasing our iteration speed. So like you were just saying of making providers easier, this adds a dev onto our team that we get to hyper customize for. Sure, it's building apps for other musicians. Side benefit of that, it knows the Recoup code base and it can open up pull requests right into the Recoup code base to speed up our implementation time between, I have an idea for how Recoup can get improved. Sid doesn't need to open up Cursor. He just uses Recoup to say, build this feature. It opens up the pull request, and then I clone the code and build off of that. And it also opens it up outside of our internal team. Any musician that's using the product can do this, and then opening up the question, are there any examples of products that are being built this way? Or are we starting to think through novel product building ways to be more inclusive of who is part of the product building team, expanding it to not just people that we hire, but anybody that has an idea that wants to contribute. You don't need to know how to code to open up a pull request. Just go to wave 0, say how you want this to be better. It opens up the pull request, and then we determine the pull request if we want to merge it, instead of, do we like the idea? Are we going to prioritize the idea? Who's going to write the code? Who's going to review the code? Just let the musician write the pull request, and then the only thing we have to review is the pull request, which has already been created, already deployed a new preview branch for us to test it. And then it's like,
dude, so like it's a new modular way of doing a roadmap and feature requests on app. It's feature request turns into PR that we review, and that's a fucking product in itself. I love it. Yeah. So like, yeah, wave 0 is the most modular thing that you can build next week that will expand. To double down on that, Livia hit me up a week or two ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago, saying like, hey, I need help building an app because she has a workflow problem where she works she's at a publisher, and she has to scrape. She does this manually every week, goes on Spotify, goes on New Music Friday and other playlists, clicks the credits, looks up who wrote the songs, goes and sees if they're published. If they're not published, goes and looks, are they on tour? Do they have a publishing deal already? All of these things. If the artist, if it's a good lead, she then reaches out to that person to set a meeting. So she was like, I need that process automated, but really what I need is like a leaderboard every week to like scrape Spotify, run it through filters, and then show me who I should reach out to, right? So I was like, go to Bolt and try it. And so she went on Bolt. She started to do it. She texted me back. She was like, oh my God, I'm building an app. Like, I felt the excitement of like the first time you use one of these kind of AI products. But then she hit a roadblock when she was like, wait, what is Superbase? Wait, what's an API? Mm-hmm. Wait, what do I do here? So like her as in the music industry had an app she wanted to build, but hit a roadblock because her specific requirements, and she couldn't get past the hurdle of her industry standards. Mm-hmm. So where I see this wave 0 going, even beyond what everything you just said, is like empowering people at labels or artist teams to become developers. And our differentiator is we know the blockers that they're going to hit. We have Spotify API. You don't have to connect your own. We have a Superbase setup. You don't have to do that. We're already going to scrape chart metric. Like, we know those things. So when they prompt it, it just does that shit for them. And now all of a sudden, we're not only empowering artists, but like a label executive who has an idea for a rollout can go do it, demo it, and show the artist like, yo, what do you think? You want to launch? Like, that's going to be so powerful for them as well. So yeah, bro, go crazy on that. And I'll look into the Calendly webhooks, but also just think about the providers in general of like, how do we abstract away specifics? And then my goal next week, you're on wave 0. I'm on figuring out how to create a system of feature announcements. A system of like, if we're shipping each week, how do we set up a system so on Fridays we know what we shipped, and every Sunday night the following week, like every one of our users gets an email, beautiful emails of the feature with the call to action, etc. When they land on the product, the new feature announcement shows before they even dive in. Like, so it's there, it's then there, and then automating the social. So like, it's just that week is also constantly me regurgitating on socials everything that we can do with the feature. If I get into that flow, I think we're going to also see huge uptick in usability, because yeah, just consistency with understanding features are being shipped every week. And then jumping on the calls with people to like walk them through when need be, and that kind of training have been the 2 levers that I've been pulling, and it seems to be working. So I'm going to be focused 100% on that next week, which is just how do we automate our announcements to our current users.
I think that's the best place for you to be focusing. I agree.
Fire. Awesome. All right, cool. I'm excited. Wave 0 sounds fucking fire, and I think it's a huge upstick. And then I'm excited to also see all of next week how people are using the email thing. And then I think if we figure out that flow of like new feature released, we watch it for a week. We see how people are using it, and then on Friday we review. Do we need to move from the make it work to make it right stage, or do we need to move from make it right to make it awesome stage, or do we wait another week and do net new? Like, and it's just a constantly, is it a refinement week or is it a net new week?
Right.
And just jump from there. And I think
currently we're on net new, right?
Currently we're on net new.
Product is stable enough for us to expand it right now.
Product is stable enough, and we don't have enough data on the 2 features that we currently shipped to make informed decisions on how we could make them awesome.
Agree 100%.
Cool. Look at us agreeing.
With that agreement, is there anything else you want to chat about on this weekly call?
No, dude, awesome job this week. I think this week was a really great week for the product, man. Like, it's starting to feel differentiated. It's starting to do things that chat can't do, that Claude can't do. It's getting really fucking dope. Theo, thank you for watching, and use the tool and let us know what you think. Sahil, what's up? Hello. But yeah, man, fucking great shipment this week. Really, really fire.
We had a blow off top this week on our numbers. So if next week feels a little bit low, that is normal. I agree. This has been an amazing week. Tops, all-time highs across the board.
Yeah, exactly. And first share of product-led growth. First, yeah, man, just really overall great week. And the realization this week that like the majority of our user adoption is them just not realizing that they can do it. Like, which is hey, why don't you just try it? Like, and see what happens. I did want to say one thing. That we don't need to like define right now, but it's just for you to think of like over the weekend and going into the next week and in wave 0 is adding the acceptance criteria when we're shipping, as one of the bullet points being tracking the feature usage. So I can easily, and we can easily identify if the feature that we like right now we're guessing,
Yeah.
and we're not shipping enough features to be like, oh, I wonder what's going on. But if like being able to track email sent and watch it go, like, you know, and then as we start to add new features to emails sent or the email tool and more capabilities, like see if it goes up or down and whatever. Like I think that's the next stage of like how we just get better at tracking and analyzing, are our features directly correlating to retention and growth. And if we don't need to do it now, we don't need to do it on all the other things, but like just starting to think through that, like what that acceptance criteria would look like. What's the easiest way to like just track usage like that? Or is it already there and I'm just like, it's just like an easy like thing to figure out how to track?
You've been doing a really good job of building out tracking tools across Vercel, the Founders Dashboard, and other places. It has been helpful for us to assess the effectiveness of the work that we're doing. So, hearing your request.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Any plans this weekend?
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you got value out of this, please make sure to give it a like, give us a repost, and a subscribe so you don't miss out, because we are shipping faster than ever, and